drifting, reacting, hoping things work out. This is how most people live their entire lives. No strategy, no clear direction, no thought about where current path actually leads. They make decisions based on what feels urgent today, without considering what matters in 10 years. They chase short-term comfort at the expense of long-term outcomes. They drift through decades, then wonder why life did not turn out how they wanted. The problem is not lack of effort. The problem is lack of strategy. They are working hard rowing in random directions rather than working strategically toward a defined destination. Meanwhile, small percentage of people operate completely differently. They think in decades, not days. They have clear vision of where they are going. They make daily decisions aligned with 10-year strategy. They sacrifice short-term comfort for long-term outcomes. They control their trajectory rather than hoping it works out. 10 years pass either way. The question is whether you drift those 10 years or design them. Most people will drift. They will react to circumstances, handle urgencies, make decisions that feel right in the moment. 10 years later, they will look back and realize they ended up somewhere they never intended to go. You can choose differently. You can build actual strategy, clear 10-year vision, frameworks for making decisions aligned with that vision, systems for executing strategy despite short-term pressures. This audiobook reveals exactly how to build 10-year life strategy when everyone around you is short-sighted. Not through vague goal setting or vision boards, through systematic strategic planning frameworks used by people who actually control their life trajectory, through understanding why most people cannot think long-term and how to overcome those limitations, through practical implementation systems that execute strategy in daily life. You will learn how to create clear 10-year vision, how to reverse engineer that vision into actionable strategy, how to make decisions aligned with long-term outcomes, how to resist short-term thinking traps, how to measure progress toward long-term vision, how to adjust strategy while maintaining direction, how to think strategically when everyone around you thinks tactically. Stop drifting. Start designing your next decade. Build 10-year life strategy. Now, introduction. Why most people cannot think long-term. There are two types of people making decisions. The first type thinks short-term. What feels good now? What solves immediate problem? What reduces current discomfort? Their decisions optimize for next week or next month. They never consider 10-year implications. They accumulate short-term choices that create long-term outcomes they never wanted. The second type thinks long-term. Where does this lead in 10 years? Does this align with ultimate vision? What does this create long-term? Their decisions optimize for decade outcomes. They accept short-term discomfort for long-term alignment. They design trajectory rather than drift. Here is what you need to understand. Inability to think long-term is not character flaw. It is psychological default state that must be deliberately overcome. Human brain evolved for immediate survival, not long-term planning. Your ancestors needed to avoid immediate threats and secure immediate resources. Long-term thinking beyond seasons was not survival critical. This evolutionary legacy makes short-term thinking feel natural and long-term thinking feel difficult. Modern life requires opposite. Long-term thinking is now survival critical. Career decisions compound over decades. Financial decisions create or destroy wealth over years. Relationship patterns determine life satisfaction over lifetime. Health behaviors create outcomes that appear decades later, but your brain still defaults to short-term. This is why most people drift. Their psychological default overwhelms their conscious intention to think strategically. Building 10-year life strategy requires understanding and overcoming psychological barriers to long-term thinking, then implementing frameworks that make strategic thinking systematic rather than relying on willpower. This audiobook provides complete system. 10 frameworks that together enable building and executing 10-year life strategy despite psychological defaults pulling toward short-term thinking. These are not abstract concepts. These are practical strategic planning tools adapted from business strategy, military planning, and successful individuals who design their life trajectory deliberately. Let's examine each framework. Framework 1. Future Self-Visualization, Creating Clear 10-Year Vision. The first framework for building 10-year life strategy is creating vivid, detailed vision of your future self 10 years from now, making that future real enough to guide present decisions. Most people cannot think long-term because future self feels abstract and distant. 10 years from now seems like different person. This psychological distance makes future outcomes feel irrelevant to present decisions. Strategic thinkers make future self concrete and real. They visualize future self with such detail that it feels like actual person they know. This connection between present and future self enables decisions aligned with long-term vision. Here is how to create future self-visualization that drives strategic decisions. First, understand psychological concept of temporal discounting. Humans heavily discount future outcomes. Reward today feels more valuable than larger reward next year. Pain today feels more significant than larger pain next year. This discounting increases with time horizon. 10-year outcomes are discounted so heavily they barely register in decision-making. This is why people make choices that feel good now but create terrible 10-year outcomes. Future self-visualization counteracts temporal discounting by making future concrete rather than abstract. When future self feels real, future outcomes matter more in present decisions. Second, create detailed written description of your life exactly 10 years from now. Not vague goals. Detailed description of typical day. Where do you live? Describe the physical space in detail. What do you see when you wake up? What is your morning routine? Who is with you? What work do you do? How do you spend your time? What does your health look like? What relationships fill your life? What have you accomplished? What are you working toward next? Write this as detailed narrative, not bullet points. Full descriptive writing that creates vivid mental image. Spend 2 to 3 hours on this. The detail matters. Abstract vision does not drive decisions. Concrete vision does. Third, identify the person you need to become to live that 10-year vision. Your future life requires future version of you with different capabilities, habits, mindset, and resources than current you. Who is that person? What skills do they have? What do they know? What habits do they maintain? What do they value? How do they think? What have they overcome? What resources have they built? Describe future you as if describing someone you know well. This makes future self feel like real person, not abstract concept. Fourth, create visual representation of future vision that you see daily. Written description is powerful, but visual reinforcement increases impact. This could be vision board, but more effective is single powerful image that represents your 10-year vision. Photo of place you will live. Image representing work you will do. Picture capturing lifestyle you will have. Place this where you see it daily, morning and evening. The repeated exposure keeps future vision active in decision-making rather than being abstract concepts you thought about once. Fifth, regular future self-journaling connecting present actions to future outcomes. Once weekly, write from perspective of your 10-year future self looking back at decisions you are making now. What does future you thank present you for doing? What does future you wish present you had done differently? What is future you grateful that present you sacrificed? What patterns does future you see that present you cannot see yet? This perspective shift makes consequences of present decisions visible. You see how today's choices create or prevent future vision. Sixth, use future self-visualization in decision-making explicitly. When facing significant choice, ask, which option moves me toward my 10-year vision? Which option is my future self grateful I chose? This question cuts through short-term emotion and reveals strategic choice. Often, the harder choice now is the one future self will thank you for. Here is what makes future self-visualization foundational. It creates emotional connection to long-term outcomes. Without this connection, long-term thinking remains intellectual exercise easily overwhelmed by short-term emotion. When future self feels real, future outcomes matter. This shifts decision-making from optimizing for now to optimizing for decade. Practice future self-visualization deliberately. Understand temporal discounting you must overcome. Create detailed written description of life 10 years from now. Identify person you must become. Create visual representation you see daily. Journal from future self perspective weekly. Use future self in decision-making explicitly. Make your future self real enough to guide present decisions. This is the first framework for building 10-year life strategy. Framework 2. Reverse engineering working backward from vision to strategy. The second framework for building 10-year life strategy is reverse engineering your vision by working backward from desired 10-year outcome to identify what must happen in years 9, 8, 7, and so on until you reach present moment. Forward planning from present is difficult because future is uncertain. Reverse engineering from desired future is easier because you define the destination then identify the path. Here is how to reverse engineer 10-year vision into actionable strategy. First, start with your 10-year vision from Framework 1. This is your defined destination. Everything else works backward from here. Most people try to plan forward asking what should I do next year? This approach gets lost in uncertainty. Reverse engineering starts with certainty of destination, then asks what must be true in year 9 for year 10 to happen. This shift from uncertain forward to certain backward makes planning tractable. Second, Identify major milestones that must exist at years 10, 7, 5, 3, and 1. These are checkpoints on path to 10-year vision. For 10-year vision to be real, what must be true at year 7? What major accomplishments? What capabilities? What resources? What relationships? What position? Then work backward. For year 7 to be possible, what must be true at year 5? And for year 5, what must be true at year 3? And for year 3, what must be true at year 1? This creates milestone chain. Each milestone is prerequisite for next. Missing any milestone means 10-year vision becomes impossible. Third, identify critical capabilities you must develop in each phase. Your 10-year vision requires specific skills, knowledge, and abilities you do not currently have. What capabilities must you have by year 1? What additional capabilities by year 3? By year 5? By year 7? Map capability development timeline. Some skills take years to build. If you need skill X in year 7 and it takes 3 years to develop, you must start in year 4 at latest. This reveals when development must begin. Fourth, identify critical resources that must be accumulated. Resources include financial capital, social capital, physical assets, and time availability. What resources does 10-year vision require? What does it cost financially? What relationships does it depend on? What physical assets? What time commitment? Work backward, identifying when each resource must be available, and therefore when accumulation must begin. If you need financial resource X in year 8 and accumulation takes 5 years, you must start now. Fifth, identify critical decisions that gate progress. Certain decisions enable or prevent entire paths. Career changes, location moves, major commitments, relationship decisions. What decisions must be made by year 1? By year 3? By year 5? These are strategic choice points. Missing decision window can derail entire strategy. Identifying these in advance allows preparing for decisions before they arrive rather than making them reactively when they appear. Sixth, create one-year implementation plan based on reverse-engineered requirements. You now know what your 1 milestone requires, what capabilities must be developed, what resources accumulated, what decisions made. This becomes your 1-year strategic plan, not random goals. Strategic requirements reverse-engineered from 10-year vision. This 1-year plan is grounded in decade strategy. Everything in it serves 10-year vision. This prevents working hard on things that do not matter long term. Seventh, build quarterly execution plans from annual strategy. Break 1-year requirements into quarters. What must happen Q1 for year to work? Q2, Q3, Q4. Quarterly planning is short enough to feel concrete, but long enough to accomplish meaningful progress. It bridges gap between decade vision and daily action. Here is what makes reverse engineering powerful. It transforms abstract 10-year vision into concrete near-term requirements. Instead of vague sense you should work toward vision, you have specific milestones, capabilities, resources, and decisions required this year. This clarity enables execution. You know exactly what matters. You can allocate time and resources strategically. You can measure progress objectively. Practice reverse engineering deliberately. Start with 10-year vision as certain destination. Identify major milestones at years 10, 7, 5, 3, 1 working backward. Map capability development timeline. Identify resource accumulation requirements. Identify critical decisions and their windows. Create 1-year implementation plan from reverse engineered requirements. Build quarterly execution plans. Work backward from vision to strategy to action. This is the second framework for building 10-year life strategy. Framework 3. Decision filters, making choices aligned with long-term vision. The third framework for building 10-year life strategy is creating decision filters that systematically evaluate choices based on alignment with long-term vision, preventing drift from strategic path. Most people make decisions reactively based on how they feel in the moment. This creates accumulated choices that drift away from any coherent strategy. Strategic thinkers use predetermined filters, evaluating every significant decision against long-term vision. This keeps decision-making aligned with strategy despite short-term emotions. Here is how to create and use decision filters that maintain strategic alignment. First, understand that decision-making without filters is random walk. Each choice optimizes for local immediate concerns. Over hundreds of decisions, you drift far from any intended destination. Decision filters prevent drift. They are predetermined criteria every choice must meet. Choices passing filters are likely aligned with strategy. Choices failing filters are likely distractions. This transforms decision-making from reactive to strategic. You are not deciding whether choice feels right now. You are deciding whether choice passes strategic filters. Second, create primary filter. Does this move me toward my 10-year vision or away from it? This is simplest and most powerful filter. Every opportunity, every commitment, every major choice gets this question. If it moves you toward vision, it passes primary filter. If it moves you away or is neutral, it fails primary filter. Most opportunities fail this filter. They are good things, but not aligned with your specific vision. Passing primary filter is necessary, but not sufficient condition. Third, create resource allocation filter. Does the return on time, money, and energy invested in this justify the cost given my 10-year strategy? Every choice consumes resources. Time and energy are finite. Money is limited. Strategic resource allocation requires investing resources where return aligns with vision. Opportunity might pass primary filter, moving toward vision, but fail resource filter by requiring excessive resources for minimal strategic return. This filter prevents inefficient pursuit of marginally aligned opportunities. Fourth, create opportunity cost filter. What am I not doing if I do this? Does this choice prevent higher value strategic choices? Every yes is no to alternatives. Strategic thinking requires evaluating not just whether choice is good, but whether it is better than alternatives. Choice might pass primary and resource filters, but fail opportunity cost filter because pursuing it prevents pursuing higher value strategic opportunity. Fifth, create values alignment filter. Does this choice align with my core values or require compromising them? Your 10-year vision should be built on core values. Choices violating those values are not sustainable long-term, even if they pass other filters. This filter prevents pursuing vision through means that contradict the purpose of vision. If you value integrity, choices requiring dishonesty fail this filter regardless of strategic benefit. Sixth, create reversibility filter. How reversible is this decision? High reversibility choices are low risk. Low reversibility choices require higher certainty. Some decisions are easily reversed. You can try and quit if wrong. These require less analysis. Just pass other filters and try. Other decisions are difficult or impossible to reverse. Marriage, children, major career changes, major location moves. These require much higher certainty before committing, even if they pass other filters. Seventh, create decision protocol using filters systematically. For every significant choice, run through filters in order. Primary filter, toward or away from vision. Fail here, reject choice immediately. Resource filter, return justify cost. Fail here, reject choice. Opportunity cost filter, better than alternatives. Fail here, likely reject unless very high confidence. Values filter, aligns with core values. Fail here, reject choice. Reversibility filter, if low reversibility. Do I have very high confidence? Fail here, delay choice until higher certainty. Choice passing all filters is strategically sound. Choice failing any filter requires either rejection or modification to pass. Here is what makes decision filters powerful. They eliminate most distractions automatically. Without filters, you must agonize over every opportunity wondering if you should pursue it. With filters, most opportunities fail quickly, allowing focus on strategic choices. Filters also prevent rationalization. Emotion wants to pursue attractive opportunity not aligned with strategy. Filters force objective evaluation. Opportunity fails filters even if it feels attractive. This protects strategy from emotional override. Practice decision filter creation and use deliberately. Understand filters prevent decision drift. Create primary vision alignment filter. Create resource allocation filter. Create opportunity cost filter. Create values alignment filter. Create reversibility filter. Build decision protocol running choices through filters systematically. Make strategic choices systematically. This is the third framework for building 10-year life strategy. Framework 4. Anti-fragile strategy, building plans that improve with uncertainty. The fourth framework for building 10-year life strategy is creating anti-fragile strategy that benefits from uncertainty and disruption rather than being destroyed by it. Most people avoid strategy because future is uncertain. They think planning is pointless if circumstances change. This is backwards. Uncertainty makes strategy more necessary, not less necessary. Strategic thinkers build anti-fragile strategies. Their plans improve when unexpected events occur. Disruption creates opportunities their strategy is positioned to exploit. Here is how to build anti-fragile 10-year strategy. First, understand difference between fragile, robust, and anti-fragile strategies. Fragile strategy breaks when circumstances change. It requires specific conditions. When conditions shift, strategy fails. Robust strategy survives change. It works across range of conditions. It is not destroyed by uncertainty, but also does not benefit from it. Anti-fragile strategy improves with change. Uncertainty creates opportunities the strategy exploits. Disruption strengthens position rather than weakening it. Most people build fragile strategies unknowingly. They plan for specific future, then are devastated when different future arrives. Anti-fragile thinking builds strategy that benefits from multiple futures. Second, identify aspects of your vision that are scenario independent. Some parts of 10-year vision require specific circumstances. Other parts are valuable across many scenarios. Scenario-dependent vision. I will be VP at specific company X. This requires company X to exist, grow, and have opening. Fragile to many scenarios. Scenario-independent vision. I will have executive leadership capability in my domain. This is valuable whether at company X, different company, or own company. Robust across scenarios. Build vision emphasizing scenario-independent outcomes. These are achievable across multiple possible futures, reducing strategy fragility. Third, build optionality into strategy, creating multiple paths to vision. Fragile strategy has one path. If that path closes, vision becomes impossible. Anti-fragile strategy has multiple paths. If path A closes, paths B and C remain. Uncertainty closing one path does not destroy strategy. Example: vision is financial independence. Fragile path is single business succeeding. Anti-fragile strategy develops multiple income sources. If one source fails, others remain. Total failure requires all paths closing simultaneously, which is much less likely. Build redundant paths to important outcomes. Optionality protects strategy from uncertainty. Fourth, identify asymmetric opportunities where downside is limited, but upside is unlimited. These are anti-fragile by definition, but outcomes cost little. Good outcomes create massive benefit. Example: learning high-value skill. Downside is time invested. Upside is career transformation. Asymmetric opportunity. Contrast with symmetric bet. Investing life savings in single stock. Downside is total loss. Upside is gain. Symmetric risk. Anti-fragile strategy emphasizes asymmetric opportunities. Limited downside. Unlimited upside. Even with uncertainty, these improve expected value. Fifth, build capabilities that increase in value during disruption. Some capabilities are valuable only in stability. Other capabilities become more valuable when circumstances change. Stability dependent. Specialized skill for single narrow application. Valuable while that application exists. Worthless if application becomes obsolete. Disruption valuable. Meta skill like learning quickly, adapting to change, solving novel problems, becomes more valuable when disruption creates novel situations. Strategic capability development emphasizes disruption valuable skills. These are anti-fragile. Uncertainty increases their value rather than decreasing it. Sixth, create strategy that gets stronger with time rather than weaker. Fragile strategies have deadline. They must succeed by certain time or fail completely. Anti-fragile strategies compound. More time increases probability of success rather than decreasing it. Each year of execution strengthens position. Example: building reputation and network. Each year adds to cumulative reputation and relationships. Time is ally, not enemy. 10 years creates much stronger position than 5 years. Build strategies where time is advantage. These survive uncertainty because more time means more attempts, more learning, more compounding. Seventh, plan for multiple scenarios, preparing for different possible futures. You cannot predict which scenario occurs, but you can be prepared for several. Identify 3 to 5 plausible scenarios for your domain over 10 years. Best case, worst case, most likely case, surprising alternative cases. For each scenario, identify how your strategy would need to adjust. What capabilities become more valuable? What paths open or close? What opportunities emerge? This scenario planning does not predict future. It prepares you to recognize what type of future is emerging so you can adjust strategy quickly. Here is what makes anti-fragile strategy powerful. It thrives on uncertainty rather than being destroyed by it. Most people abandon long-term thinking because they cannot predict future. Anti-fragile thinkers build strategies that work across multiple futures. This makes 10-year planning viable. You are not betting on specific future. You are building position that benefits from multiple futures. Uncertainty becomes advantage because you are prepared for it while others are not. Practice anti-fragile strategy building deliberately. Understand fragile versus robust versus anti-fragile. Identify scenario-independent vision elements. Build optionality with multiple paths to outcomes. Seek asymmetric opportunities with limited downside and unlimited upside. Build disruption valuable capabilities. Create strategies that strengthen with time. Plan for multiple scenarios. Build strategy that improves with uncertainty. This is the fourth framework for building 10-year life strategy. Framework 5. Focus allocation protecting strategic work from tactical demands. The fifth framework for building 10-year life strategy is systematically allocating focus time to strategic work, protecting it from constant tactical demands that consume attention. Most people never execute strategy because urgent tactical demands fill all available time. They have vision, they have plans, but they never work on strategic priorities because tactics are always more urgent. Strategic thinkers protect strategic time systematically. They allocate dedicated focus to long-term work, ensuring it happens despite tactical pressures. Here is how to allocate focus, ensuring strategic work receives necessary attention. First, understand that urgent always defeats important without systematic protection. Urgent things demand immediate attention. Important strategic things have distant deadlines. Human psychology prioritizes urgent over important automatically. This means important strategic work never happens unless explicitly protected. You must create systems ensuring strategic work receives time regardless of tactical urgencies. Without these systems, you work hard every day on tactics while strategy never advances. Years pass, vision remains distant, strategy never executes. Second, implement strategic time blocking protecting specific hours for strategic work. Most people use task lists mixing strategic and tactical work. Everything competes for same attention. Urgent tactical work always wins. Strategic time blocking separates strategic and tactical work temporarily. Certain hours are protected for strategy only. No tactical work allowed regardless of urgency. Example, every morning 8 to 10 am is strategic time. During these hours, you work only on strategic priorities from reverse engineered plan. Email, meetings, urgent requests wait until 10 am. These protected hours are non-negotiable. Strategic work happens here. This ensures strategy receives minimum attention weekly regardless of tactical demands. Third, define clear distinction between strategic and tactical work, preventing confusion. Strategic work advances 10-year vision. Tactical work handles current operations. Strategic work examples: developing new capabilities, building key relationships, creating new systems, exploring new opportunities, deep learning, strategic decisions. Tactical work examples: responding to email, handling current problems, maintaining existing operations, meetings about current issues, administrative tasks. Every task must be classified. Is this strategic or tactical? Strategic goes in protected time blocks. Tactical fills remaining time. This classification prevents strategic time blocks from being hijacked by disguised tactical work. Fourth, implement minimum viable tactical work approach, reducing time tactical demands consume. Most tactical work expands to fill available time. You can spend unlimited time on email, meetings, current problems. Strategic thinkers minimize tactical work through ruthless efficiency. Batch email into 2 sessions daily. Decline most meetings. Delegate tactical decisions. Automate repetitive tasks. Systematize routine work. The goal is reducing tactical work to minimum necessary, freeing maximum time for strategic work. Strategic thinking requires substantial focus time. If tactics consume everything, strategy never happens. Fifth, create accountability structures, ensuring strategic work completion. Protected time blocks fail if you fill them with tactical work anyway. Accountability prevents this drift. Weekly accountability. Every week, review strategic priorities from reverse engineered plan. Did you complete this week's strategic work? If not, why not? What prevented it? Partner accountability. Share strategic priorities with accountability partner. Weekly check in discussing progress. Their expectation creates pressure to complete strategic work. Public accountability. Publicly commit to strategic milestones. Quarterly progress reports to key stakeholders. Public commitment creates pressure, preventing strategic work from being perpetually delayed. Sixth, measure strategic progress separately from tactical productivity. Most people measure productivity by tactical output. Emails answered, tasks completed, problems solved. This creates illusion of progress while strategy stagnates. Strategic progress measurement tracks different metrics. Capabilities developed, strategic relationships built, key decisions made, Strategic projects advanced. Weekly review should include both tactical productivity, are current operations running, and strategic progress. Did I advance toward 10-year vision this week? If strategic progress is 0 for multiple weeks, your system has failed. Tactics have consumed everything. System redesign required. 7th, accept that strategic work feels less urgent, making it psychologically harder to prioritize. Tactical work creates immediate satisfaction. Problem solved. Email answered. Task completed. Dopamine hit. Strategic work rarely creates immediate satisfaction. You work hours on strategic priority with no visible outcome. The payoff is years away. This makes strategic work psychologically unrewarding. Awareness of this helps. Strategic work feels less rewarding because it is more important, not less important. The psychological difficulty is signal of value, not signal of waste. Push through psychological resistance. Protected strategic time happens even when it feels less satisfying than tactical work would feel. Here is what makes focus allocation essential. Vision and strategy without execution are fantasy. Execution requires substantial focused time on strategic priorities. Without systematic time protection, strategic work never receives necessary attention. Tactical demands are infinite. They will consume all available time if allowed. Focus allocation is declaration that strategic work matters enough to receive protected time despite tactical pressures. Practice focus allocation deliberately. Understand urgent defeats important without protection. Implement strategic time blocking, protecting hours for strategic work only. Define clear strategic versus tactical distinction. Minimize tactical work, freeing time for strategy. Create accountability structures, ensuring strategic work completion. Measure strategic progress separately from tactical productivity. Accept psychological difficulty of prioritizing less urgent strategic work. Protect strategic work from tactical demands. This is the 5th framework for building 10-year life strategy. Framework 6. Strategic relationships, building network that accelerates vision. The 6th framework for building 10-year life strategy is deliberately building strategic relationships with people who accelerate progress toward your vision rather than randomly accumulating social connections. Most people build networks reactively. They connect with whoever appears. They maintain relationships out of habit or obligation. Their network does not serve strategy because it was never built strategically. Strategic thinkers build networks deliberately. They identify who they need to know for 10-year vision. They systematically build those relationships. Their network accelerates strategy execution. Here is how to build strategic relationship network. First, understand that your network determines possible futures. You can only pursue opportunities you know about. You only know about opportunities through relationships. Limited network means limited opportunities. Even with great vision and strategy, you cannot execute without relationships that provide access, information, collaboration, and support. Network is not nice to have. Network is strategic asset as critical as capabilities or resources. It must be built deliberately. Second, reverse engineer network requirements from 10-year vision. Your vision requires specific types of relationships. What relationships must exist for vision to be possible? Who has information you need? Who controls access to opportunities? Who has capabilities complementary to yours? Who can open doors? Who provides feedback? Who shares journey? Create list of relationship types required, not specific people necessarily. Types of people, roles they play in your strategy. Third, identify specific individuals who fulfill strategic relationship requirements. From types of relationships needed, identify actual people. These might be people you already know weakly who you need to know more deeply, or people you know of but do not know personally, or people you must discover. Create target relationship list. These are people worth significant investment because they accelerate your strategy. This is not transactional. These are genuine relationships built on mutual value, but they are selected strategically, not randomly. Fourth, create systematic relationship building approach. Relationships do not form accidentally. They require deliberate cultivation. For each target relationship, create approach plan. How will you provide value to them? What do they care about that you can contribute to? How will you create opportunities for connection? Relationship building is long-term investment. It requires giving value before receiving value. It requires patience and consistency. But strategic approach means investing relationship time, where it advances vision, not randomly, wherever someone requests attention. Fifth, implement regular relationship maintenance, preventing strategic relationships from decaying. Relationships require ongoing investment. Without maintenance, they weaken. Create relationship management system. Quarterly touchpoints with strategic relationships minimum. Monthly or weekly with highest value relationships. These touchpoints provide value, share relevant information, make useful introductions, offer help, celebrate their successes. Maintenance is not manipulation. It is genuine care for relationships that matter. But systematic approach ensures you do not accidentally neglect strategic relationships because tactical relationships are louder. Sixth, actively prune relationships that drain energy without serving strategy. Most people accumulate relationships that no longer serve. They maintain them out of guilt or habit, consuming energy that should go to strategic relationships. Strategic relationship building requires actively letting go of relationships that do not serve strategy or well-being. This is not cruel. This is honest acknowledgement that time and energy are finite. Maintaining energy-draining relationships means less energy for relationships that matter. Polite distance rather than dramatic ending. Reduce investment. Stop initiating. Let natural distance grow. Reserve energy for strategic relationships. Seventh, build relationship bridges connecting different parts of network, creating network effects. Most people have disconnected relationship clusters. Work relationships, personal relationships, interest-based relationships, all separate. Strategic thinkers create bridges. They introduce valuable people to each other. They create new connections between their network nodes. This creates network that is more valuable than some of individual relationships. People in your network connect with each other. Opportunities emerge from combinations. Your network becomes generative, not just connective. Regular practice. Quarterly. Identify two people in your network who should know each other. Make introduction. Facilitate connection. Here is what makes strategic relationship building powerful. It multiplies your capabilities exponentially. Your capabilities alone are limited. Your capabilities plus capabilities of strategic network are vast. 10-year vision requiring capabilities you do not have becomes achievable through relationships with people who have those capabilities. Opportunities you cannot access alone become accessible through relationships with people who have access. Network is multiplier on everything else. Same vision and strategy with strong strategic network succeeds where weak network fails. Practice strategic relationship building deliberately. Understand network determines possible futures. Reverse engineer network requirements from vision. Identify specific individuals fulfilling strategic roles. Create systematic relationship building approach. Implement regular relationship maintenance. Actively prune energy draining relationships. Build bridges creating network effects. Build network that accelerates vision. This is the sixth framework for building 10-year life strategy. Framework 7. Progress measurement tracking advancement toward decade vision. The seventh framework for building 10-year life strategy is creating systematic progress measurement that reveals whether you are actually advancing toward vision or just being busy. Most people confuse activity with progress. They work hard daily. They feel productive, but they never measure whether work is advancing long-term vision. Years pass with impressive activity, but minimal strategic progress. Strategic thinkers measure progress explicitly. They track whether daily work compounds toward decade vision. They distinguish productive activity from strategic advancement. Here is how to measure strategic progress systematically. First, understand difference between output metrics and outcome metrics. Output metrics measure activity, hours worked, tasks completed, meetings attended. These measure busyness, not progress. Outcome metrics measure results that advance vision, capabilities developed, key relationships built, strategic projects completed, resources accumulated. These measure actual progress toward vision. Most people track only outputs feeling productive while making minimal outcome progress. Strategic measurement emphasizes outcomes. Second, define lead indicators predicting 10-year vision achievement. Vision achievement in year 10 is lagging indicator. You know success when you arrive, but this is too late for course correction. Lead indicators predict future success based on current actions. They are measurable now and correlate with vision achievement later. Example: vision is financial independence. Lagging indicator is net worth in year 10. Lead indicators are savings rate, income growth rate, skill development, network expansion. These predict net worth trajectory while still correctable. Identify 3 to 5 lead indicators for your vision. What metrics measured quarterly predict vision achievement? These become your strategic dashboard. Third, implement quarterly strategic reviews measuring progress on lead indicators. Quarterly is optimal frequency. Weekly is too short for strategic progress visibility. Annually is too long, allowing drift. Every quarter, measure each lead indicator. Has it improved from last quarter? Is trajectory consistent with 10-year vision? This quarterly measurement creates accountability. You cannot drift unknowingly for years because every quarter reveals whether you are on track. Fourth, create red, yellow, green thresholds for each indicator, making progress objective. Subjective evaluation allows rationalization. Objective thresholds prevent self-deception. For each lead indicator, define thresholds. Green, progress exceeds requirements for 10-year vision. Ahead of pace. Yellow, progress meets minimum requirements. On pace but no margin. Red, progress below requirements. Behind pace. Adjustment needed. Quarterly review shows each indicator color. Mostly green means strategy is working well. Mostly yellow means strategy is working minimally. Any red means immediate attention required. Fifth, distinguish between controllable and uncontrollable factors affecting progress. Some progress barriers are within your control. Others are external circumstances. Controllable factors: your effort, focus allocation, skill development, decision quality. When these cause poor progress, you must change behavior. Uncontrollable factors: market conditions, others' decisions, random events. When these cause poor progress, you must adapt strategy, not blame yourself. This distinction prevents both self-flagellation over uncontrollable setbacks and excuse-making for controllable failures. Sixth, implement corrective action protocols when indicators show red. Measurement without response is pointless. Red indicators require systematic response. Corrective action protocol. 1. Diagnose root cause. Why is indicator red? Insufficient effort, wrong approach, external barrier, unrealistic expectation. 2. Identify possible solutions. What could improve this indicator? More focus, different method, additional resources, adjusted timeline. 3. Choose highest leverage solution. Which intervention most likely to shift indicator to yellow or green? 4. Implement for 1 quarter. Test chosen solution for 3 months. 5. Measure again. Did indicator improve? If yes, continue approach. If no, different solution required. This systematic approach prevents both ignoring problems and changing strategy randomly without diagnosing issues. 7th, celebrate strategic wins, explicitly preventing motivation decay. Strategic work has delayed gratification. Daily effort produces no immediate reward. This erodes motivation over time. Explicit celebration of quarterly progress counteracts this. When lead indicators improve, acknowledge advancement. Share wins with accountability partners. Reward yourself for strategic progress. This creates positive reinforcement for strategic work, maintaining motivation across years. Here is what makes progress measurement essential. Without measurement, you cannot distinguish real progress from illusion of progress. You might work extremely hard for years while drifting away from vision. Measurement reveals truth. It shows whether strategy is working. It enables course correction before you are too far off track to recover. 10-year strategy without measurement is hope, not plan. Measurement transforms hope into managed execution. Practice progress measurement deliberately. Distinguish output metrics from outcome metrics. Define lead indicators predicting vision achievement. Implement quarterly strategic reviews. Create objective red, yellow, green thresholds. Distinguish controllable from uncontrollable factors. Implement corrective action protocols for red indicators. Celebrate strategic wins explicitly. Measure advancement toward vision. This is the 7th framework for building 10-year life strategy. Framework 8. Strategic flexibility, adjusting tactics while maintaining direction. The 8th framework for building 10-year life strategy is maintaining strategic flexibility that adjusts tactics and approaches as circumstances change while preserving core direction toward vision. Most people confuse flexibility with lack of commitment. They change direction, constantly interpreting this as adaptive thinking. Actually, they are drifting because they never committed to vision. Strategic thinkers are committed to vision, but flexible about path. Vision remains constant. Tactics adjust based on what works. Here is how to maintain strategic flexibility without losing direction. First, understand distinction between vision and tactics. Vision is where you are going. Tactics are how you get there. Vision should be stable. Tactics should be flexible. Most people change vision when tactics fail. This is backwards. When tactic fails, you change tactic, not vision. Vision persists until achieved or until you consciously decide it no longer aligns with values. Tactical flexibility with vision stability is strategic thinking. Vision flexibility with tactical rigidity is confused thinking. Second, create explicit vision versus tactics separation, documenting which is which. Write your 10-year vision from Framework 1. Label it explicitly as vision. This is what remains constant. Then write current tactical approach to achieving vision. Label this explicitly as tactics. This is what can change. This documentation prevents accidentally treating tactics as vision. When tactic fails, you recognize it as tactic failure, not vision failure. Third, implement regular tactical review asking whether current approach is optimal path to vision. Vision remains constant, but tactics should be questioned regularly. Quarterly tactical review questions. Is current approach producing expected progress toward vision? Have circumstances changed making different approach more effective? What is working that should be amplified? What is not working that should be modified or abandoned? What new approaches should be tested? This regular review keeps tactics aligned with current reality rather than being locked into outdated approach. Fourth, create tactical experimentation budget, allowing testing new approaches without abandoning proven methods. Pure optimization means using only proven tactics. This works until circumstances change, making proven tactics obsolete. Strategic flexibility requires experimentation, allocating percentage of time and resources to testing new tactical approaches. Example, 80% of effort on proven tactics, 20% on experimental tactics. This creates option discovery without abandoning what works. Successful experiments graduate to proven tactics. Failed experiments are abandoned. Proven tactics that stop working are demoted to experimental status or abandoned. Fifth, build early warning systems detecting when proven tactics are becoming less effective. Tactics that worked well can become less effective gradually. Without detection systems, you continue ineffective tactics too long. Early warning indicators. Progress metrics declining despite maintained effort. Tactics requiring increasing effort for same results. Environmental changes making tactic less viable. Emerging alternatives showing better results for others. When warning indicators appear, investigate before crisis. Adjust tactics proactively rather than reactively. Sixth, distinguish between tactics that should persist through difficulty versus tactics that should be abandoned. Not all tactical failures mean tactic is wrong. Some tactics require persistence through difficult early phase. Persist through difficulty tactics. Known effective tactics experiencing temporary barriers. Strategic investments with delayed payoff. Skills in development phase where competence precedes excellence. Abandon quickly tactics. Experimental tactics showing no progress. Approaches misaligned with changed circumstances. Tactics consuming excessive resources for minimal return. Judgment required here, but framework helps. Is this tactic proven effective long-term, experiencing temporary difficulty? Persist. Is this tactic unproven, showing poor early results? Abandon or modify. Seventh, maintain strategic optionality, avoiding all-in commitments that eliminate flexibility. Some tactical commitments are reversible, others are irreversible or very costly to reverse. Irreversible commitments should be made only with very high confidence. Reversible commitments can be made with lower confidence, allowing learning. This means preferring flexible tactics that preserve options over rigid tactics that eliminate alternatives. When possible, maintain multiple tactical approaches rather than betting everything on single approach. Options have value. Eliminating options requires compensation in form of dramatically higher success probability. Here is what makes strategic flexibility essential. Perfect initial tactics are impossible because future is uncertain. Your first tactical approach will not be optimal. It might not even be good. Strategic flexibility allows learning. You try tactic, measure results, adjust, try modified tactic, measure, adjust. Over time, tactical approach improves through iteration. Inflexible tactics mean when initial approach fails, entire strategy fails. Flexible tactics mean when initial approach fails, you adjust approach while maintaining vision. Practice strategic flexibility deliberately. Distinguish vision from tactics, keeping vision stable and tactics flexible. Create explicit separation documenting which is which. Implement quarterly tactical review. Create experimentation budget testing new approaches. Build early warning systems detecting tactic degradation. Distinguish persist through difficulty from abandon quickly tactics. Maintain strategic optionality, avoiding irreversible commitments. Adjust tactics while maintaining direction. This is the 8th framework for building 10-year life strategy. Framework 9. Compound leverage, stacking advantages that multiply over time. The 9th framework for building 10-year life strategy is deliberately creating compound leverage by stacking capabilities, resources, and relationships that multiply each other's value over time. Most people develop individual advantages in isolation. They build one skill, accumulate one resource, develop one relationship. These create linear value. Strategic thinkers stack advantages, creating compound leverage. Each advantage multiplies value of others. Total impact is exponential, not linear. Here is how to create compound leverage, accelerating tenure progress. First, understand compound effects versus additive effects. Additive value is a plus B equals A plus Bn. Each element contributes independently. Total value is sum. Compound value is a plus B equals a Bn. Elements multiply each other. Total value is product, not sum. This creates exponential growth. Example additive. Learn skill A providing value 10. Learn unrelated skill B providing value 10. Total value 20. Example compound. Learn skill A providing value 10. Learn complementary skill B that multiplies A's value by 2. Now A provides value 20. B provides value 10. Total value 30 plus compounding continues as you add skill C. Strategic thinking seeks compound relationships. What capabilities multiply each other's value? Second, identify capability combinations that create multiplicative value. Certain skill combinations are worth far more than sum of individual skills. High-value combinations. Technical depth plus communication skill. Technical skill creates value. Communication skill multiplies that value by enabling you to influence, teach, sell. Domain expertise plus strategic thinking. Expertise makes you valuable in domain. Strategy makes you valuable in leadership requiring domain knowledge. Analytical ability plus relationship building. Analysis creates insights. Relationships provide access and amplify insight impact. These combinations are rare because most people specialize narrowly. Person with both technical depth and communication excellence is much rarer than person with just technical depth. Build combinations deliberately. Identify what skill would multiply your current primary skill's value. Develop that complementary skill. Third, create resource compounding where resources generate additional resources. Some resources are consumable. Use them and they are quant. Other resources are generative. Use them and they create more resources. Consumable resources. Money spent. Time invested. Energy expended. Generative resources. Reputation that creates opportunities. Network that provides access. Knowledge that enables capabilities. Systems that create efficiency. Strategic resource allocation emphasizes generative over consumable. Invest in resources that produce more resources rather than resources that are consumed. Fourth, build relationship networks that create network effects. Individual relationships provide individual value. Network of interconnected relationships provides exponential value. Network effects occur when people in your network connect with each other, creating value you do not directly create. They collaborate, share opportunities, build on each other's ideas. Your network becomes generative platform, not just collection of individual connections. This creates compound leverage. Actively facilitate network connections. Introduce people who should know each other. Create environments where your network interacts. Enable collaboration. Fifth, create systems that leverage your time, allowing impact beyond direct effort. Your direct effort is linear. Your systems scale beyond direct effort, creating compound impact. System examples. Processes others can follow. Content you create once but provides value repeatedly. Tools you build that multiply productivity. Frameworks others can use. Time invested building systems is compound investment. Initial effort creates ongoing value without ongoing effort. This allows impact to scale beyond your direct time. Sixth, position yourself at convergence points where multiple trends or domains intersect. Intersection positions create compound value because you access multiple value streams simultaneously. Example, position at intersection of technology and healthcare. You benefit from technology growth and healthcare growth simultaneously. If both grow 20% annually, intersection position benefits from compounded growth. Identify convergence points relevant to your vision. Position yourself there. Convergence creates multiplicative opportunity. Seventh, build capabilities that remain valuable across multiple contexts, creating compound optionality. Context-specific capabilities have value only in one situation. Context-independent capabilities have value in many situations. Context-independent capabilities compound because each new context adds value without requiring new capability development. Same capability applies to new opportunity after new opportunity. Examples: problem solving, learning ability, communication, relationship building, strategic thinking. These transfer across contexts, multiplying their value. Emphasize developing capabilities that transfer widely. These create compound advantage across multiple applications. Here is what makes compound leverage powerful. It allows achieving 10-year vision faster than linear progress allows. Linear progress means constant effort for constant results. Compound leverage means constant effort for exponentially increasing results. First year of effort creates X value. Second year same effort creates 2X value, because first year's work compounds. Third year creates for X value. Exponential curve. This is how people achieve in 10 years what seems impossible with linear thinking. They build compound leverage early, then benefit from exponential returns. Practice compound leverage creation deliberately. Understand compound versus additive value. Identify capability combinations creating multiplication. Create resource compounding generating more resources. Build relationship networks with network effects. Create systems leveraging time beyond direct effort. Position at convergence points where trends intersect. Build context-independent capabilities. Stack advantages that multiply over time. This is the 9th framework for building 10-year life strategy. Framework 10. Resilience architecture building capacity to persist through setbacks. The 10th and final framework for building 10-year life strategy is architecting psychological and practical resilience, enabling persistence through inevitable setbacks without abandoning vision. 10-year journeys encounter obstacles. Projects fail. Approaches do not work. Unexpected problems emerge. External circumstances change. Progress stalls. Most people abandon vision when difficulties persist. They interpret setbacks as signals the vision was wrong. They quit before achieving what they could have achieved with persistence. Strategic thinkers build resilience, enabling persistence through difficulty. They expect setbacks. They prepare for them. They persist through them while maintaining vision. Here is how to architect resilience for decade journey. First, understand that setbacks are guaranteed not possible. 10-year strategy will encounter multiple serious setbacks. This is not pessimism. This is statistical certainty. Long time horizon plus complex environment plus uncertain future equals guaranteed difficulties. If you plan assuming smooth progress, your plan is naive. Resilient strategy expects difficulties. This expectation prevents demoralization when difficulties arrive. You are not experiencing exceptional bad luck. You are experiencing normal strategic execution. Second, create explicit setback contingency plans before setbacks occur. Most people deal with setbacks reactively when emotional. This produces poor decisions. Resilient thinking creates contingency plans during calm. What are most likely setbacks? What would you do if each occurred? How would you respond? Documented responses ready before crisis arrives. When setback occurs, you implement predetermined response rather than making emotional reactive decision. This advanced planning converts crisis into execution of existing plan, much less stressful and more effective. Third, build financial reserves creating runway for setbacks. Many strategic failures are actually resource failures. Person runs out of money before strategy succeeds. They had to quit not because strategy was wrong, but because they could not fund persistence. Resilient strategy includes financial buffer. 6 to 12 months of living expenses minimum, preferably more. This buffer allows continuing strategy through periods where it consumes resources without producing immediate returns. Without buffer, first significant setback forces abandoning strategy. With buffer, you can persist through multiple setbacks. Fourth, develop mental models normalizing difficulty rather than catastrophizing it. Setbacks trigger catastrophic thinking. This is terrible. Everything is falling apart. I was stupid to try this. Resilient thinking has mental models that normalize difficulty. This is expected part of 10-year journey. This setback is data informing tactical adjustment. Difficulty is normal, not exceptional. These mental models prevent emotional spirals that led to abandoning strategy. Difficulty is reframed as expected challenge, not as disaster. Fifth, create accountability structures preventing quitting during low points. Lowest points of strategic journeys are precisely when people quit. Emotion overwhelms commitment. Exit seems rational, but low points are temporary. Quitting during low point means missing eventual success by shortest margin. Persisting through low point often precedes breakthrough. Accountability structures prevent quitting during temporary low. Accountability partner who reminds you of commitment during difficulty. Public commitments making quitting costly. Financial stakes making persistence necessary. These external commitments carry you through moments when internal commitment wavers. Sixth, build diversified progress paths preventing single point of failure. If entire strategy depends on single element succeeding, that element becomes single point of failure. Its failure destroys entire strategy. Resilient strategy has multiple progress paths. If path A encounters insurmountable obstacle, paths B and C continue. Strategy survives any single path failure. This redundancy costs efficiency. Multiple paths means divided resources, but it provides resilience. Strategy survives setbacks that would destroy single path strategy. Seventh, maintain connection to purpose underlying vision, providing motivation that survives setbacks. Vision itself can feel distant during difficulty, but purpose behind vision, the why, remains constant. Why does this vision matter to you? What values does it serve? What would achieving it mean? What would not achieving it mean? Purpose provides motivation independent of progress. Even when progress stalls, purpose remains. This sustains effort through periods where tactical success is not reinforcing. Document your purpose explicitly. Return to it regularly, especially during difficulty. Purpose is anchor preventing drift when tactics fail. Here is what makes resilience architecture essential. Strategy without resilience is fragile. First serious setback destroys it. This means most people never achieve long-term visions because they quit before success. Resilience is what separates people who achieve decade visions from people who abandon them. Not superior tactics, not easier journeys. Resilience to persist through difficulty. Building resilience deliberately rather than hoping you naturally persist is strategic thinking. You architect capacity to continue before you need it. Practice resilience architecture deliberately. Expect guaranteed setbacks, not possible ones. Create setback contingency plans before crisis. Build financial reserves, creating persistence runway. Developmental models normalizing difficulty. Create accountability structures, preventing low-point quitting. Build diversified progress paths, preventing single-point failure. Maintain connection to purpose underlying vision. Build capacity to persist through setbacks. This is the 10th framework for building 10-year life strategy. From drift to design, you now understand the 10 frameworks for building 10-year life strategy that guides your life toward chosen destination rather than drifting toward random outcome. Future self-visualization, reverse engineering, decision filters, anti-fragile strategy, focus allocation, strategic relationships, progress measurement, strategic flexibility, compound leverage, resilience architecture. These are not abstract theories. These are practical strategic planning frameworks used by people who deliberately design their life trajectory. Here is what you must understand. 10 years will pass regardless. The question is whether you design those years or drift through them. Most people will drift. They will react to circumstances, make decisions based on immediate pressures, pursue opportunities that appear without strategy, work hard without direction. 10 years later, they will look back wondering how they ended up where they are. You can choose differently. You can build actual strategy, vision of where you are going, frameworks for getting there, systems for executing despite pressures, measurement showing whether you are on track, resilience to persist through difficulty. This is not guarantee of success. External factors matter, luck matters, but strategic approach dramatically increases probability of achieving vision compared to drift approach. Strategic person who encounters bad luck still makes more progress than drifting person who encounters good luck. Strategy compounds advantages. Drift wastes advantages. Here is how to begin building your 10-year life strategy immediately. Implement one framework per week for 10 weeks. Not all frameworks at once. One per week, building comprehensive system gradually. Week 1. Future self-visualization. Create detailed written description of life 10 years from now. Week 2. Reverse engineering. Work backward from 10-year vision, identifying your 7, 5, 3, 1 milestones. Week 3. Decision filters. Create primary vision alignment filter and begin using it for all significant choices. Week 4. Anti-fragile strategy. Identify scenario-independent vision elements and build optionality. Week 5. Focus allocation. Implement strategic time blocking, protecting hours for strategic work. Week 6. Strategic relationships. Reverse engineer network requirements and identify target relationships. Week 7. Progress measurement. Define lead indicators and implement quarterly strategic reviews. Week 8. Strategic flexibility. Separate vision from tactics and implement quarterly tactical review. Week 9. Compound leverage. Identify capability combinations, creating multiplicative value. Week 10. Resilience architecture. Create setback contingency plans and build financial buffer. One framework per week. 10 weeks total. At end, you have complete 10-year strategic planning system. Then execute. Quarterly reviews measuring progress. Tactical adjustments based on what works. Persistent effort despite setbacks. Annual major reviews celebrating progress and adjusting vision if values have shifted. In 1 year, you will have made substantial progress toward 10-year vision. In 3 years, you will be unrecognizable from current self. In 10 years, you will have achieved vision that seems impossible from current position. This is not fantasy. This is normal result of strategic thinking executed consistently over time. Stop drifting. Stop reacting. Stop hoping it works out. Start designing. Start strategizing. Start executing deliberate plan toward chosen destination. 10 years will pass. Design them rather than drift through them. Build your 10-year life strategy. Think long-term when everyone around you is short-sighted. Control your trajectory. Shape your future. Live by design, not by default. Begin now. If you made it to the end of this audiobook, you are serious about building real capability. Most people stop halfway through. You stayed. That tells me something about your commitment to becoming better. This is exactly the kind of person this channel is built for. People who want substance over motivation, systems over inspiration, deep frameworks over surface tactics. If that resonates with you, subscribe to this channel. Every audiobook here follows the same principle. Real capability development through practical frameworks you can apply immediately. No fluff, no motivational empty calories, just systematic approaches to becoming genuinely better. New audiobooks on competence, discipline, influence, and strategic thinking publish regularly. Subscribe so you do not miss them. And if this audiobook added value, leave a comment sharing which framework you will implement first. I read every single comment. Your engagement helps these audiobooks reach other serious people who will actually use this information. Thank you for listening all the way through. Now go build what you learned.